Hi, welcome. My name is the Nordic Dane, and today we're gonna talk about Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart on PlayStation 5. So Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart was one of the first games that was introduced along with the PlayStation 5. Here they talked about how the game would take advantage of all the new specs and features on the PlayStation 5, so you could load entire levels instantly and basically switch in between them constantly as you wished, or at least in the way that the game was designed. However, I found that very disappointing because that actually did not happen. I'll talk more about that later on. Besides this Ratchet and Clank game, I've actually never played another Ratchet and Clank except for one that came with PlayStation Plus probably like 2-3 years ago, but I never played these games as a kid, and I am kind of sad now that I didn't because they're kind of good. Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart is made by Insomniac, who's also the developer for Spyro, Spider-Man, and other great games. And they also, of course, made the old Ratchet and Clanks as well. Ratchet and Clank is a single-player game with several planets that you can switch in between. So, for example, you can be on one certain planet, then you can go back to your spaceship, you can fly over to another planet, and so on and so on. And it's not as much levels, because you can only do certain things until you unlock things later on, and then you can come back and visit that planet again, and you can unlock some more things, and so on and so on. If I remember correctly, I believe that the Ratchet and Clank had 5 or 6, probably 6 different planets that you can switch in between from. And then it also had a whole arena mode where you can take up these different challenges on different levels as well. The story of the game is that Clank wants to surprise Ratchet by giving him a vortex gun so that he can go and find his species in another universe. But as it is with these guys, there's of course an obstacle, and Dr. Nefarious comes and steals this vortex gun, basically uses that in order to get to another universe where he is already the Emperor, because his ego is so big that of course that's the only thing that he wants. Your job is then to try to get this back from him, try to follow him to these different planets, and of course help these people who live on these planets. Pretty early in the game you are introduced to a new character called Rivet, who is also the same species as Ratchet. However, she's slightly different in color, but basically the same. Clank, of course, also finds his other counterpart, and they actually switch places so that Rivet and Clank are together, and for some reason I can't remember that new, basically Clank ripoff person's name. I'll write it right here instead. But basically this person, robot, question mark? But you find out that that robot and also Rivet has some sort of history together without them actually knowing it. And of course that creates some drama and stuff like that. The game runs on 60 FPS and is incredibly smooth to play. There's no glitches, there's no nothing, and even the loading times on the different planets going from one planet to another are pretty seamlessly. There is also a ray tracing mode, and I could not see any benefits to why I would not put the ray tracing mode on. The game mechanics of this game is basically the more you play, the more weapons are unlocked to you, but also the more that you use the weapons and the more enemies you kill, the more experience you get in order to upgrade your weapons, and so on and so on and so on. When you then finish the game, you get even more things unlocked as well that you can then buy from the merchant. And in order to get the full trophy, you of course need to upgrade all of them. The game has a really good use of the adaptive triggers on the PlayStation 5, and the different weapons have different features on the adaptive triggers. If you take the more shotgun-esque gun, it has this shotgun feel to it when you pull the trigger, compared to a spray-it gun, so to say, where it still gives this resistance, but it's like a more constant resistance that it does, as well as it does like a little push to your finger as well. So far, I must say this and Deathloop is definitely the two games where I felt the most different when it comes to video games in the use of the adaptive triggers. And I must applaud them for that, especially considering the fact that this is technically considered a child game. And I am pretty impressed by it. The game is super easy to learn. It doesn't take you that long to get the feel of the game. However, it can be really challenging for adults as well, as you can set up the difficulty level to whatever you want. And some of these challenges in the arena that I mentioned earlier are also super difficult to complete. There is of course a way for you to get around that later on. There are these collector's items that you can pick up, and these collector's items can, for example, give you unlimited ammo or unlimited health, etc., to make it a little bit more easy for you. Overall, this video game is a really good game. It's easy to learn, it's fun, it's energetic, there's like high pace all the time. It doesn't feel like it's too much of the same repetitiveness, even though it's the kind of like the same monsters that you fight over and over, just different places. And this was one of the video games where by completing it as I normally would, I would probably get like 60%, maybe 70% of all the trophies. But with this game, I was sure that I could get a platinum, and so just by putting a little bit more effort in, I actually did get the platinum trophy on it. Even though the game is a little bit disappointing in the way that I had literally thought that you could change from universe to universe in the way that they had advertised the game, even though that never actually came to play. And yes, you did go through a portal, but it's kind of like they built this other universe within the same level, and so you never really could go back and forth. And so in that way, it wasn't kind of like an open world game. It was still this level based, or at least like planet based. And that kind of annoys me. I kind of feel like that was a false advertising move, which I thought was super cool and super nice that they could do something like that on the PlayStation 5. But then by playing the game, I realized they can't. That being said, I still want to give it 5 out of 6 Viking helmets because it is a really good game, and it's fun, and it's something that I could see myself be playing again. Not this one, but like if they made a sequel. I feel the fact that now that they have introduced Rivet, I hope that they will do something again with Rivet and Ratchet. I think that would be super fun to have another video game with that. And also, I just like the game enough to go out and buy another one if there was a sequel to this one. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please go and like and subscribe to my channel. And if you don't already, please go on Twitch and follow me. My handle is the Nordic Dane. And as always, vi ses.